So today we have Andrew here from TestCard. Thank you so much for being here.
No problem at all.
Would you be able to kind of give us an overview of what TestCard are building and what is it that you guys do?
Sure. So at TestCard, we've embedded a urine diagnostic device into a postcard format, which allows people to diagnose common conditions in the comfort, convenience and privacy of their own home. We're trying to improve healthcare access, basically. The company comes from a conversation that Luke, who's my co-founder, and I had. We've known each other for years. Our kids go to the same school together, and sometimes what that's like is that you know that person because they're related to that child, but that's all you know about them. But we were having a family dinner at his house, and we started talking about how bad men were, especially at engaging in healthcare, and all the excuses and reasons they have, like they don't want to take time off work, they don't want to admit something's wrong, and it became a bigger conversation about healthcare access generally and why people avoid or have to avoid seeking healthcare access, and we built TestCard around that. So it depends on the particular condition that we're looking for. So our first three into the UK market are a test for drugs of abuse screen, a pregnancy test and a test for urinary tract infection. Now we started with those ones because they were the clinical scanning technologies we needed to develop within our application. It's technology that now has been sort of looked at by Roche Diagnostics, and it's been shown to be more reliable than the in-hospital professional use products for reading these sort of tests.
Wow. So that's incredible. And in terms of from a product standpoint, I mean, did you guys start out like this? Or did it eventually?
Do you know what?
Did you guys eventually come to the idea that it needed to be something like something that simulated a postcard?
Well, the thing is, I think a lot of the reasons why people don't engage with healthcare, sometimes is because it's scary. You know, it's intimidating. It's science things, medical things. It puts people off. So we've tried to the entire way through the process is design a user experience that is minimally intimidating and drives confidence, but not just confidence in TestCard, but confidence in their ability to produce the result. So the postcard is familiar, it's not scary, there's no unpacking, there's no box you have to unpack stuff from and line everything up in the right order you need to use it. It's very intuitive. We like the fact that it's postcard format. It means that most of what's disposable is just card, there's no plastics, there's no disposable technology, so it's low cost per production, low cost of delivery as well.
What did your first product look like, or your first iteration?
It's not a million miles different, to be honest, than the one we have there. It wasn't this double-sided fold out, so that at the moment you tear open and you open it out. It didn't have that. It was just literally a postcard, and the strips actually pulled out from the card. We realised earlier on, although that's something we'd still like to do, because a lot of the healthcare access issues are in countries that have heat and humidity issues, we would be better individually packaging the strips in foil. So each of our tests generally has 2 tests in, and they're individually foil wrapped, which protects them massively from humidity issues, which is obviously a real problem in many parts of the world.
Yeah, but what countries are you guys operating in?
So we have different products launching in different countries. So in the UK, as I said, we're launching out with predominantly the UTI test and the pregnancy test. They are also going into the US, but the first product into Asia Pacific, into India, is going to be a glucose screening product. So this is a product that we're doing in conjunction with Aetna, who are a major insurer, and they will send out these strips to their members effectively, and it's allowed them to screen for diabetes, gross, undiagnosed diabetes within that population.
That's incredible. Would you be able to kind of show us one of the products?
So this is the UTI product.
Yeah.
So as I said, it's just pull it out, and you see in there you've got 2 strips.
Yeah.
And that's the individual packaging, like I said, which controls for the humidity, so it gives us a shelf life of at least 2 years.
Oh wow, okay.
Which obviously is really helpful in countries like India. The program that we're working with Aetna, or we'll be working with, has around 1.5 million users in India, a couple of 100,000 more in Indonesia and Thailand. So.
That's incredible. And so, like, the user would pee on this strip or something?
So or they can pee in a cup and dip it. There's the app actually controls the entire process and takes them through everything they need to be doing.
Okay.
it's very intuitive, it's easy to use.
That's amazing. And in terms of your product right now, so from a company standpoint, where are you guys right now from a product standpoint?
So we're awaiting our regulatory approval.
Okay.
So because this is a diagnostic, we have to get the rubber stamp,
Yeah.
effectively. That's our CE mark, which we're expecting to come through in January. These things take a long while. As you know, we said, everything seems to take longer than you think it's going to. So we're expecting that to come through in January. We'll follow up then on launches through other areas of Europe. We've got a lot of interest in Scandinavia. We have a trial with Roche in Norway, and some potential clients in Sweden. In the US, we're starting in the wellness market, so some of the elements we'll be launching into wellness, and then following up with our FDA filing in summer.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I watched your pitch at the Palace, I think your 2-minute elevator pitch.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something really interesting, and you mentioned that you're solving the access to healthcare problem.
Yeah.
Would you be able to kind of elaborate on that a little bit more?
Sure. So, like I said, it came originally from a general conversation about people avoiding healthcare. But some people don't just avoid it, they're isolated. So the examples we give are people who are isolated because of geography or it's too expensive or it's too far away. There are real problems in many parts of the world. But then even in the UK, a lot of people are socially isolated. So the elderly and frail. It is not always the right thing to be dragging these people out of the security and comfort of their own home. And having worked in a hospital, I can tell you it's not always the best thing to be pulling the elderly and frail in through the front door of a hospital as well. Anything you can do to support them in their care within their own homes is much, much better for them. Quite often when elderly people get in hospital, they lose tone, they lose their ability to become independent afterwards. But then you've got mental health conditions. Just because people are physically well or not unwell, it doesn't mean that they can cope with being in clinical settings. So there's that sort of isolation, but then there's just the fact that people sometimes don't want to admit there's something wrong with them, or don't want people to think there's something wrong with them.
I can kind of relate to that.
Well, men are terrible at it. That's where it comes from. And you don't want to take your time off work. You don't want to have to ring up a GP and wait for however long that is. Some GPs are very good, some aren't quite so quick. But if you consider that some people might be thinking they might have something that's a bit embarrassing. Some of our tests that we'll be bringing out in 2021 will be tests for sexually transmitted infections like chlamydia and gonorrhea.
Amazing.
We've got really good case in this country of screening chlamydia in women. It's around 20% of the population are screened, but it's less than 0.5% of men. Whereas you can imagine being able to give away chlamydia screens or them to go directly into people's homes where people can do it without anyone knowing that they're doing it. And then they only have to engage in healthcare if they know they actually need treatment.
That's incredible. Your business model seems quite multivariate, given the fact that you said that you were going into the wellness market. With things like diabetes test, are you guys providing like a subscription model, or are you guys looking for major distribution from major pharmacy companies? So
we're small. That's the thing with a startup company. So we can't own everything. But the thing about the work we're doing in Asia Pacific for diabetes is with another company, so it's with Aetna, who are an insurer. So actually, we have one client, we distribute to them, they distribute. So they own that part of the market effectively on our behalf. We sell to them, they distribute out. So it means we don't have to try and own everything and do everything, because we can't. We've got 4 different routes to market. Ultimately, there's the direct-to-consumer element, which is through the app, through the web. There's the retail element, so we can be on the shops.
Are you guys in retail right now?
We've got some early letters of intent from retailers.
Amazing.
So that's really good for some of our products. So that will put us on the shelf alongside other products that are similar, or in cases where there isn't an equivalent at the moment. And then there's the 2 different partnership models, either partnerships through care facilities, long-term care facilities, care homes, primary care providers, or the private partnerships, such as with insurers and employers. In reality, although we could sell all of our products across all of those streams, some will lend themselves better than others. So, the sexually transmitted infection example, very definite direct to consumer work, and the work we're doing in India for the glucose screening product works very well in that partnership model, because we couldn't support everywhere at the same time otherwise.
Yeah, I can imagine. You touched on it previously. I mean, in terms of working with health insurance providers, how have you found that process? I mean, is India the only place you've kind of collaborated with their health insurance?
It's the
provider?
furthest we've got in our conversation.
Okay.
The danger we have actually, because we're a platform technology, which we measure things in stuff.
Okay.
So we can apply our technology to any rapid diagnostic or combination of rapid diagnostics. So we're approached a couple of times a month where people say, can you test this? Can you test this for us? And we can, but the danger is with that you become unfocused, you try and do too many different things. Now Aetna, for this glucose screening product, is probably the only time we've actually said, yeah, we'll do that, because effectively we've pre-sold it. They'd bought the product before we'd made it. So it's the furthest we've got with any of those conversations, because they all came to us and effectively commissioned a product.
Yeah,
for that
that's
purpose.
incredible. That's incredible. I mean, in terms of the direct-to-consumer healthcare space, I mean, it's growing quite a lot. There's companies in the UK, I think Thrive Health.
Thriver are at-home sampling.
Yeah. I mean, how have you seen this space kind of evolve generally?
I think, I'm not being particularly clever in saying that people's lives are integrated with their phones, and being able to share that sort of thing. And I think we've seen a digital health revolution in the last couple of years, and it's just there's this wave that some companies are managing to ride quite effectively. But I think it does come down to that sort of access and the change in the way people want to engage in health. I mean, if you think the NHS has been around 70 odd years, 71, 72 years now. And when it first came in, there were around 2.5 billion people in the world. Now we've got nearly 8 billion people in the world. There are more people, there are more tests, and there are more treatments than ever before. But if you think about it, the way healthcare is delivered hasn't really changed that much. It's people have to get off their couch and they need to go in to see either their GP or in some cases go into the emergency room. And it's not scalable. And it will always be the right model for some people, but it's not the right model for everyone. You can't keep adding people into that model and expecting it to work. GPs are working as hard as they can to support that. They've added additional hours. From October last year, they did extended access. So they're open more hours, but it's the same model. And I think the danger sometimes with healthcare, to make it more economical, to make it more efficient, is to have this one-size-fits-all approach, where if you want it, you have to come here at this time in this way to this person, and one size doesn't fit all. So what we want to do at TestCard is have a gold standard destination, somewhere where it's the right place for them to go, if they do have that condition, but there to be multiple routes or paths to get to that. And what digital health, mobile health provides, is those multiple different routes in to that one gold standard destination. Yeah,
that's incredible. In terms of throughout this journey, you said that you met your co-founder when you were picking up your kids from school?
Yeah. Like I said, our kids go to the same school together, so we'd known each other for a very long while before I think I even knew his second name.
What have you learned from a product standpoint, throughout this journey?
I think, I'm a scientist. My entire background's science. This is my first foray into any sort of business or anything where you're dealing with customers, I suppose, in some respects. Luke has a background in doing mobile phone applications and direct-to-consumer supplies. So we come from two opposite sides of the requirements to do this. We're very lucky to have some very talented developers and some very talented designers. Our designer and Chief Technical Officer, Chris Hewitt, is phenomenal. He's designed a lot of our user experience, and like I said, I think that's the main thing, is trying to encourage people to use it not being scary, and giving them the confidence that they're doing it right. So I've learned a lot about driving that sort of engagement, I suppose.
I mean, do they send this in to you guys, or how do
No, they get the results straight away. So on the spot.
Wow. So they'll be on the strip or dip it into a tube, and then it will appear on the QR code.
Well, the reaction takes place on the strip. We'll do a demo at some point where we're going to be running it, and then the phone itself actually scans it and delivers a result back to them. And when I say a result, it's an answer. The thing is, home users don't use tests the same way as they use them in professionals use them. So we try not to give them just nonsensical numerical values that they can't be expected to understand. We deliver back an answer to the question. So if they're doing a test for urinary tract infection, we presume the question they're asking is, do I have a urinary tract infection? So we answer that question and say, no, you don't.
Yes or no.
Yeah. Effectively.
Amazing. And in terms of 3 years from now, in a fairy tale world, assuming you've got all of the trials and the insurance partners you want to work with, I mean, what will TestCard kind of look like over the next 3 years?
Oh wow! So if everything goes the way we hope it will, so we're in early talks with the Gates Foundation at the moment.
Wow.
Which is phenomenal that they may be providing us some funding in the new year to develop some World Health products. So that includes malaria testing and HIV testing.
Wow.
To be able to deliver that out to regions that really need it is phenomenal. Also, we hope we're a commercial success as well.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. Yeah, I suppose startup founders need a certain amount of delusional ambition. We see where the company can go. We think there's an awful lot of opportunities, and we'd like to take as many of them as possible. We feel that we've got a pipeline that have really good clinical applications that can help individuals and help healthcare providers, and we start to drive a model that's predictive and preventative rather than reactionary, which means that people are only really going into doctors when they need treatment, when they need help. A certain amount of the monitoring can take place in people's homes. We're reducing their footfall through surgeries, which is just making it better for everyone. In terms of systemic or regulatory changes, are there any specific systemic or regulatory changes you'd be really excited to see and would be really beneficial for TestCard? I don't know. I mean, obviously we've got Brexit at the moment, which is I sort of smell the Brexit behind that question in some respects. But we have regulatory alignment in most cases anyway with Europe, and actually the requirements of what you need to deliver to show that you have a safe and a safe diagnostic test isn't that much different across the world, and they're actually becoming more and more unified, even in countries that don't have de facto regulatory alignment. The issues we have at the moment on the Brexit side is that we have a notified body that we have to file for things within the UK. They will have to become two separate notified bodies, one in Europe and one in the UK, rather than just being one that can serve both markets. But that's about it really.
We can go through the quickfire round.
Sure. Okay.
In terms of, what's your most valuable purchase under £100?
I bought my co-founder and CEO one of those little fans that plugs in at the bottom of the phone while we were in Mumbai talking to suppliers. There you go. That was just a couple of dollars. That really made a difference to that journey.
Did it work throughout the duration of the journey?
Yeah, it was great.
Wow.
Yeah, I bought it in the airport. I think it was like €1 or something ridiculous like that when I got it. But in Mumbai it made a massive difference.
Have you guys engaged with that part of the world, Mumbai?
We have suppliers that we're working with in Mumbai. Because if you are producing within India, you only have to be regulatory approved in India to deliver to India.
Wow, and it's such a big market, isn't it?
It's a huge market. We're very lucky we've found a really good supplier out there. It's a German-owned company. It has a German quality management system at Indian production rate cost effectively, and they are experts in delivering products and controlling the humidity levels, which is obviously a real challenge out there.
Is there a book that you would gift to a fellow startup founder in the healthcare space?
Oh, there's so many. I'll tell you what. I'll send you a list after the interview, and you can have a
name
view.
one.
Well, I don't know about in healthcare generally, but
in business
I think
generally?
I always seem to go back to the Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance for just generally for life.
Oh wow! Okay.
I think that's a really good book that helps people day to day in just moving forward with things. But there are so many specific to business and healthcare.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot to search to find them. But,
we've heard a lot.
It's nice to have a story behind it as well.
Yeah, we heard. I've asked this question to quite a few health tech founders, and they've all mentioned bad blood.
Yeah, that's a popular one.
Yeah.
It's hard with that sort of thing because you almost don't want to villainize Elizabeth Holmes too much.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if the product worked or didn't work, but it seemed to me that a lot of her mistakes was upsetting a lot of people along the way, including the FDA and a lot of the payers within the US, and that I think was contributed to things for her.
Yeah. What's the most valuable advice you've received from an entrepreneurial standpoint?
Say no quickly.
Really?
I think, and get no's quickly. Because sometimes you end up, there's nothing wrong with spending a long time talking about something you're going to do, but sometimes, especially working with big corporations, big organizations, startups are very, they can move, they're very flexible, they're agile, whereas big corporations aren't, but they're inclined to take a long while to say no.
Yeah.
So if you can get a no quickly, you can actually spend your time doing the things that are going to make the difference rather than, working on a no.
Yeah. Have you figured out how to say no quickly and effectively?
I think so, yeah. It's one of those things, it's the saying the no perhaps isn't the hard part, the saying that is being able to choose which things to say no to.
Yeah. What's the most valuable failure that in hindsight has kind of set you up for success? Do you have any TestCard examples?
Examples in TestCard? It's a tough one. I'm not sure, to be honest. I think a lot of my failures were probably as a manager in previous roles in the NHS, and I suppose they've been around making sure you take people with you on the journeys. Sometimes not everyone moves at the same pace. Yeah. And you might know where you're going, but perhaps your team don't. And I think that's one of the reasons why startups are able to be so agile sometimes and move so much faster, because they're small teams and everyone owns an element of what they're doing. So everyone knows exactly where it is and exactly where it needs to go, and you share one vision at that point. You don't have a whole range of different strategies or objectives. You really have one shared vision, and you're more moving forward for it. So I think it makes it easier. Yeah.
What gives you the most joy as a founder of TestCard?
I think the great thing about TestCard is it doesn't take a lot to communicate the potential value of it. And I think the first point that you see it click in someone's head when they get it, what it is we're trying to do and what it is we're trying to achieve, that yes, commercially we think there's a lot of opportunity, but the opportunity we have to provide access to people that previously weren't able to get it is phenomenal. And that's a really, because you see it on people's faces, the light suddenly dawned to them.
Yeah, that's incredible. What's your favorite restaurant?
My favorite restaurant?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you have to remember I live in the Yorkshire Wolds, so there's some amazing little pubs and restaurants around there that are great. Actually, I'm going to a Chinese restaurant in Scarborough on Friday, which is called Tops, which is, it's the best Chinese restaurant in Scarborough. There you go. If you ever find yourself in Scarborough, that's where to go.
And favourite beverage?
Favourite beverage is Guinness.
Guinness.
Yeah, always a pint of Guinness.
Wow. Okay. I guess that marks the end of the interview. Thank you so much.
No problem.